There is a specific vibration in your pocket, a notification sound, a simple buzz. For most people, it is just data, a request, a question, a neutral event. But for you, it is a biological threat. Before you even look at the screen, your body has already reacted. There is a microscopic tightening in your chest, a sudden shallowness in your breath. Your heart rate ticks up, just a fraction. It's not panic, it's not that loud. It is something far more insidious. It is a reflex. You look at the phone. It's a friend asking for a favor they have asked for 10 times before, or a boss asking for just one small thing at 6 p.m. on a Friday, or a family member needing you to fix a mess they created. Every logical neuron in your brain is screaming, I don't have the time, I don't have the energy, I don't want to do this. But your thumbs are already moving. They are typing. Sure, no problem. Happy to help. You press send, and then you stare at the wall, feeling a heavy dark liquid settle in the pit of your stomach. It is the taste of self-betrayal. You tell yourself you are just being nice. You tell yourself you are generous, helpful, reliable. You tell yourself that this is just who you are. But we need to stop lying. This isn't kindness. This isn't generosity. This is a survival mechanism. This is a trauma response, wearing the costume of a personality trait. You are not nice, you are afraid. And today, we are going to perform a deep psychological surgery on this fear. We are going to rip out the wiring that makes you apologize for your own existence. And we are going to look at the terrifying, liberating truth about why you cannot say no. Because the life you are living right now, the one where you are the rock, going one, it is killing you. Not all at once, but slowly. It is eroding your soul, grain by sand grain, until one day you will look in the mirror and realize that the person looking back is a stranger made entirely of other people's expectations. Let's go back to the beginning, because nobody is born a doormat. Nobody is born with a spine made of glass. This was done to you. This was a curriculum you mastered before you even knew you were in school. Imagine a child, maybe 4 or 5 years old. This child is essentially a supercomputer designed for one thing, connection. For a human child, connection is not a luxury, it is biology, it is survival. If the caregivers turn away, if the tribe rejects you, you die. Now, imagine this child grows up in a home where the emotional climate is unstable. Maybe the parents are volatile. Maybe they are narcissistically absorbed. Or maybe they are just good people who are incredibly stressed, busy, and emotionally conditional. In this environment, the child learns a very specific, dangerous lesson. I am safe only when I am useful. I am loved only when I am easy. I am valuable only when I am invisible. You learn to scan the room. You became a meteorologist of other people's moods. You could hear the difference in the way the front door opened. You knew that a heavy footstep meant hide, and a sigh meant fix it. You learned that having needs of your own was an inconvenience to the giants around you. So, you made a deal with the universe, a silent, unconscious contract. You said, I will crush my own needs. I will silence my own voice. I will never be a burden. And in exchange, you will not leave me. You will not yell at me. You will love me. Fast forward 20, 30, 40 years. You are an adult now. You pay your own bills. You are physically safe. But that 4-year-old child is still running the operating system of your brain. This is why, when someone asks you for something unreasonable, you don't just feel annoyed. You feel unsafe. Your amygdala, the lizard brain, hijacks your system. It perceives the possibility of saying no as a life threat. It screams, if you refuse, they will hate you. If they hate you, you will be exiled. If you are exiled, you will die. So you say yes, not because you want to help, but to lower your own anxiety. You are essentially paying a ransom with your time and energy just to make the feeling of danger go away. This is what psychologists call the Fawn response. We all know fight, flight, and freeze. But for you, your nervous system chose Fawn. It chose to appease the predator, to avoid the attack. You are not being polite. You are fawning for your safety. And the tragedy is, the world rewards you for this trauma. The world loves a person who cannot say no, Corporations love you because you work unpaid overtime without complaining. Toxic partners love you because you accept breadcrumbs of affection and apologize for being hungry. Friends love you because you are a bottomless emotional trash can for their drama. They call you reliable. They call you low maintenance. But what you really are is a resource they are mining, and the mine is running empty. Let's look at the anatomy of your daily life. It looks like a calm surface, but underneath, there is a screaming current of exhaustion. You wake up tired. Not the kind of tired that sleep fixes, but the kind of deep spiritual fatigue that comes from carrying weight that isn't yours. You go to work, and you are the go-to person. You solve problems that aren't in your job description. You listen to colleagues complain for 40 minutes, nodding, smiling, absorbing their negativity while your own work piles up. You feel a flash of anger, but you swallow it instantly. You judge yourself for the anger. Why am I so selfish? You think. They are having a hard time. I should be supportive. So you suppress the anger. But here is the physics of emotion. Energy cannot be destroyed. It can only be converted. That suppressed anger doesn't vanish. It turns inward. It becomes depression. It becomes anxiety. It becomes chronic pain, migraines, digestive issues. It becomes the voice in your head that tells you you aren't doing enough. Then you go home. Maybe you have a partner, maybe you don't. But in your relationships, you are the chameleon. You ask, what do you want for dinner? What movie do you want to watch? If someone asks you, what do you really want? Your mind goes blank. It is like looking into a dense fog. You have spent so many years tuning into everyone else's frequency that you have lost the signal of your own soul. You don't know what you want because you stopped asking that question a decade ago. This is the nice person's curse. You believe that by suppressing your needs, you are saving your relationships. You think you are keeping the peace.
But listen to me closely.
But listen to me closely. You are not keeping the peace. You are keeping the war inside you to keep the peace outside. And eventually, the war spills over. It starts with resentment. Resentment is the ugly stepchild of emotions. We hate feeling it. It feels petty, bitter, small. But resentment is actually your best friend. Resentment is the only part of you that still loves you enough to fight back. Resentment is your boundaries screaming from the grave. It is the red light on the dashboard telling you that you are being robbed. You start to secretly hate the people you are helping. You dread their calls. You roll your eyes when their name pops up. You fantasize about running away, about moving to a cabin in the woods where nobody knows your name and nobody can ask you for anything. And then comes the guilt. You feel guilty for the resentment. You think, I am a bad person for feeling this way. So you double down. You do even more. You give even more. You try to outrun the resentment with even more self-sacrifice. It is a cycle of madness. And it leads to one place, burnout, total, systemic collapse. But why is it so terrifying to just say the word? Number. It's 2 letters, 1 syllable. Why does it feel like holding a grenade? Because you have tied your entire identity to being the giver. If you are not helpful, who are you? If you are not the one who saves the day, do you still matter? Deep down, there is a core wound that says, I am not enough, just as I am. I have to earn my space on this planet. I have to pay rent for the air I breathe. You think that if you stop doing things for people, they will stop loving you. And the terrifying truth. You might be right, but not the way you think. If you start saying no, the people who only love you for your utility will leave. The parasites will detach when the host stops feeding them. And that is not a loss. That is an eviction. You are terrified of being selfish. This is the word used to control you. Don't be selfish. But let's reframe this. Is it selfish to breathe? Is it selfish to sleep? Is it selfish to refuse to set yourself on fire just to keep someone else warm for 5 minutes? Self-care is not bubble baths and chocolate. Self-care is the ugly, hard work of setting boundaries. It is disappointing people. It is allowing someone else to be uncomfortable so that you can be honest. Real empathy is not enabling. When you always say yes to people, you are often robbing them of their own growth. You are training them to be helpless. You are training them that their emergencies are your emergencies. You are not helping them, you are crippling them, and you are lying to them. Every time you say yes when you mean no, you are lying. You are presenting a false version of yourself You are building a relationship based on a fabrication. How can anyone truly love you if they don't even know the real you? They only know the mask. They only love the butler, not the master of the house.
So, how do we break
How do we
this?
rewire? Decades of conditioning. It does not happen overnight.
Decades of conditioning.
You do not wake up one morning with the swagger of a CEO. It is a slow, messy, terrified crawl toward the light. It begins with a pause. The next time someone asks you for something, do not answer. Do not let the reflex take over. Buy yourself time. Say, let me check my schedule and get back to you. That's it. You are not saying no yet. You are just stepping out of the immediate pressure cooker. In that pause, you have to ask yourself the forbidden question. If nobody would be mad at me, what would I choose? Listen to the answer. It might be a whisper. It might be buried under layers of guilt. But it is there. Then comes the execution. You have to say the words, and you have to say them without explaining. This is where most people fail. They say, no, and then they offer a paragraph of excuses. I can't, because my cat is sick, and my car broke down, and I have this thing. Stop. When you justify your no, you are telling the other person that your no is negotiable. You are asking for their permission to have a boundary. I can't do that right now. That doesn't work for me. I don't have the capacity for this. Full stop. Then prepare for the aftershock. After you say no, your body will panic.
I don't have
The nice person programming will scream, emergency.
Then
You are in
prepare
danger.
for the aftershock.
You will feel a rush of guilt, so potent, it feels like physical nausea. This is the crucial moment. Most people feel the guilt and think, I made a mistake. I should call them back and say yes. Number the guilt is not a sign you did something wrong. The guilt is a sign you are breaking a pattern. The guilt is simply your brain trying to drag you back to the old comfort zone. You have to sit with the guilt. You have to treat it like a fever. You don't fix it. You sweat it out. You let it burn. And eventually, the fever breaks. You will realize something miraculous. The world did not end. The person was maybe a little disappointed, but they moved on. They found someone else. Or they solved the problem themselves. The sky did not fall. And in the silence that follows, you will feel something new. A tiny spark of power, a reclaim of territory. You will realize that you just bought back a piece of your life. As you continue this practice, you will notice a shift in your relationships. Some people will be angry. They will say you've changed. They will say you are being difficult. These are the people who benefited from your lack of boundaries. Let them be angry. Let them go. You are not losing friends. You are shedding dead weight. But the healthy people, the people who actually love you, they will respect you more. There is a magnetism to a person who owns their number. When you have boundaries, your yes becomes expensive. It becomes valuable. When you say yes from a place of choice rather than obligation, people feel the difference. Your presence becomes potent. You are no longer a background character in your own movie. You are the protagonist. This journey is about moving from external validation to internal integrity. It is about realizing that your energy is a finite resource, like money in a bank account. You have been handing out blank checks to strangers, to co-workers, to family members who don't appreciate the currency. And you are overdrawn. It is time to close the account. It is time to audit your life. Look at your calendar. Look at your commitments. How many of them are there because you want to be there? And how many are there because you were afraid to say no? Start canceling. Start disappointing people. It is the most loving thing you can do for yourself. You will find that underneath the fear, underneath the guilt, there is a person you haven't met in a long time. You, the real you. The one who has preferences, the one who gets tired, the one who has dreams that have nothing to do with serving others. This version of you is messy. It is imperfect. It is not always nice, but it is real and it is free. There is a profound loneliness in being the person everyone relies on, but nobody truly knows. You have spent your life being a support beam for other people's structures. It is time to build your own house. Remember this: no is a complete sentence. It does not require a justification. It does not require an apology. It is an act of self-definition. Every time you say no to something that drains you, you are saying yes to something else. You are saying yes to your mental health, yes to your rest, Yes to your passions. Yes to the people who actually matter. Do not let the fear of being disliked stop you from being respected. Do not let the fear of being alone keep you in crowded rooms where you feel invisible. The transition will be shaky. Your voice will tremble. Your hands will shake. Do it anyway, because the alternative is reaching the end of your life and realizing you never actually lived it. You only accommodated it. You only managed it for others. You owe yourself a life that belongs to you, not a shared Google Doc that everyone else can edit. A life that is locked, secured, and authored by one person, you. Take a breath, feel that tightness in your chest. That is not just fear. That is potential. That is the energy of a boundary waiting to be set. Or the request comes in. Pause. Feel the ground under your feet. Remember that you are an adult, not a frightened child. You are safe, you are worthy, and you have the power to choose the cage you are in. The door was never locked. You just have to stand up and walk out. It starts with one word. The hardest word. The most powerful word. Number, say it. Taste it. Let it set you free. Because a yes that comes from fear is not a gift. It is a debt, and you are done paying debts you do not owe. You are done being the nice one. It is time to be the real one. The world has enough doormats. It needs more people who have come alive. And you cannot come alive if you are buried under the weight of everyone else's demands. Reclaim your time. Reclaim your energy. Reclaim your voice. Let them be disappointed. Let them be inconvenienced. Let them find someone else. You have a life to live. And it starts the moment you stop asking for permission to live it.